What does this symbol on a direction sign indicate? So we've probably seen those as we're driving around, but what do they actually mean? Do you know? Well, quite simply, it's an emergency diversion route. Yeah. When it's necessary to temporarily close a motorway or a main road, these signs will be displayed advising drivers to follow a particular symbol in order to rejoin their route. These symbols are often displayed permanently on direction signs. What plate would you normally find with this sign? So that's the circle. What do you normally see underneath that red circle? The answer is B. Give way to oncoming vehicles. Because the red arrow on the left shows that's representing you. And the big arrow coming the other way shows the vehicles coming the opposite way we're meant to give way to. So it could be where there's traffic calming measures, road narrows, things like that. Which plate is used with which sign? Or this plate, sorry, is used with which sign? So we mentioned this earlier, the no vehicles. So which one, A, B, C or D, means no vehicles? So there we go. That's that one. Because remember, the top one, A, is no motor vehicles. The bottom one means no vehicles at all. That includes ridden bicycles. So if you've got a bicycle, you have to get off and push it. No vehicles at all. But you could have exemptions or times of operation also shown. You're driving in the left-hand lane of a 3-lane dual carriageway. As you approach a junction, you see this sign on the gantry. What should you do if you wish to go straight ahead? So should you continue in the left lane, move into the middle lane, go to the right-hand lane, or straddle the left and the middle lane? The answer is simply just stay in the left lane, because it doesn't say that the lanes are any different. It's just telling you that if you want to get off and go the M11 north, you need to get off at the next exit, but everything else, just carry on straight ahead. If you saw this sign, what would you tell your pupil? Well, hopefully we know it means there's no overtaking until you see a sign cancelling the restriction. So this sign means it's illegal to overtake. May have a distance plate on there, but normally afterwards you would see an end plate where that prohibition ends. Your pupil asks what the blue patch means on the sign. What's the best reply? What would you say? The road ahead leads to a junction with a motorway, so you can head to Biggleswick, Lambton, the A11 or the M11 by following it ahead. Which sign shows a lane for use by pedal cycles only? Do we know our signs? If not, check out the flashcards on it. Well, that's D. So it's showing that this is the sign, that lane is separated from the others for bicycles only. You're approaching this sign. Which sign are you likely to have just passed? So you're approaching one that says try your brakes. Why will it have said that? Well, it's because will have just gone through a Ford. So just as we've said on the other questions, check your mirror, make sure it's safe, and just try gently pressing the brake, make sure everything's okay. A driver wants to go ahead at a crossroads controlled by a police officer. What recognised arm signal should they give if they want to go straight ahead? So we probably know it's not B or C, but would it be A or D? What would you say? It's D. Straight ahead. Because the highway code says use your left hand held up with the palm facing forward. This is distinguished by the traffic controller and allows them to control the traffic flow efficiently. Because if you're just sitting like in picture A, you might not have seen or know any hand signals, so that doesn't always mean you want to go straight ahead. So by using the picture shown in option D, that lets them know I do want to go straight ahead. You're driving on a motorway, the traffic ahead is braking sharply because of an incident. How can you warn traffic behind you? Well, we know we're allowed to use our hazard lights briefly. So if you're travelling on a motorway or a dual carriageway and you want to warn the traffic behind, we can use our hazard lights, but only briefly, just to let them know, look, there's a hazard coming up. How can you modify your driving to help the environment? Well, as we've mentioned, look and plan further ahead. If you're looking ahead and planning ahead, you're not going to come rearing up to queues of traffic or blind junctions and then hit the brake. You know, you're going to be planning and it's going to turn into what we call a chauffeur drive, like you're being chauffeured around. So we don't want to be doing late braking or harsh acceleration. What should you do when you've driven through a flood? We know, test our brakes. You see a vehicle with a flashing amber beacon. What warning does this give you? An amber beacon. Well, that tells us the vehicle is slow moving. Think of a breakdown truck, an AA van, anything, a lorry with a caravan on the back, the big mobile home types. It's going to have tractor, flashing amber beacon. Just means the vehicle is slow moving. When may you cross the double solid white lines along the centre of the road? Can we do it to pass a tractor if it's doing 20? You may remember this from earlier. It's to pass, in this case, parked vehicles on your side of the road. The reason it's not B or C, remember it says you can overtake a slow-moving vehicle 10 miles an hour or less. So in this instance, to pass the tractor at 20, the road sweeper at 15, would both be illegal and you wouldn't be allowed to do it. The only other exception is perhaps a horse, again, because we know generally that's going to be less than 10, and then you have to exercise more care because you've got to go past slower and you've got to stay on the wrong side of the road for longer. How does anti-lock brakes help you keep control during emergency braking? Well, they prevent the wheels from locking up. They give you a little bit of steering control, but remember, as we've said constantly, ABS does not make you stop quicker. It just gives you a bit of steering control. What type of injury can be prevented by a correctly adjusted head restraint? Well, that's whiplash. What's the most likely cause when the brake pedal feels spongy? Can you remember that? It's air in the hydraulic system, very often because the level may have dropped of fluid in the brakes. It could just have a fault in the system. So basically, get them checked as quickly as possible. You're driving along a dual carriageway and have to brake hard in a straight line. Which wheels do most of the braking? Well, that's the front wheels. As the weight of the car is thrown forward, if you brake quickly, you just get pushed forward. Same with the car. So now the weight of the car is pushed onto the front wheels. The back wheels get lighter, and that's why sometimes it can result in the vehicle skidding if the back wheels aren't adjusted correctly. What should you tell a pupil when teaching them to brake normally? Well, we mentioned this earlier, didn't we? Brake progressively and smoothly. Spread the braking. Don't come up, jam the brake on. Do it progressively, doing it smoothly. Like if they ride a bicycle, they wouldn't come up and just jam the brake on because they'd go over the handlebars. So they'd want to be gently braking, and as they came to a stop on their bicycle, they'd release the brake slightly. Same in the car. You're driving at night. What does it mean if you see a pedestrian wearing reflective clothing and carrying a red light? So what does that mean? Well, that lets us know that you're approaching an organised walk. They should be keeping to the left, but the walker at the back of the group should be showing a red light while the one at the front is showing a white light, just like a vehicle, in other words. You're at a pelican crossing. What does the flashing amber light mean? Well, that means as long as it's safe to, you can go. But you need to be prepared to give way if pedestrians are on the crossing. What liquid should you use to top up your battery? You may not know this one. It's actually distilled water. And the reason for that, the level of electrolyte in the battery may fall. If that happens, you can top it up by using distilled water. A lot of batteries these days may be what's called no maintenance. So in other words, that won't happen, so you don't have to worry. So it's always good to check your battery. Just make sure. What could happen if you put too much oil in your engine? So you overfill it. Well, actually, the oil seals may be damaged. So that creates excessive pressure. So if you did do that, either drain it off yourself or go to a garage, ask them to. What does it mean when you see this line along the centre of the road? Does it mean you may now overtake? Well, it depends what's come before it. It could do. Does it mean oncoming vehicles have priority? No. Does it mean that the national speed limit now applies? No, because we know that's not how that works. So it's between you may now overtake and there's a hazard ahead, but they're not that sneaky. If you saw this question in your ADI Part 1, they would show the other road markings before it. So it simply means there's a hazard ahead. A long white line with short gaps means you're approaching a hazard. Don't cross it unless you need to. And if you do, make sure that it's clear and safe before you do it. What's the purpose of yellow crisscross lines at a junction? Well, it's to prevent the junction from becoming blocked. Yellow box junctions are designed to keep the junction clear, and a pupil should be taught not to enter the yellow box if their exit road isn't clear. So remember the general rule: if you can't get out of it, don't go into it unless you're turning right. But again, even then, is the road that you're turning into clear or not? What should you do if your vehicle has a fire in the engine compartment? Just simply call the fire service. Don't try fighting it yourself. Very few cars actually have fire extinguishers anyway, but you're just better off. The flames tend to spread quite quickly. Just call the fire service, get them to deal with it. What advice should you give someone who intends to drive a left-hand drive vehicle in the UK? Well, therefore, you need to make full use of the mirrors, because the roads are obviously designed for right-hand vehicles. So therefore, making full use of the mirrors is going to really be important. For the cockpit drill to be effective, some items should be checked before others. What's the correct sequence? Now this one, because you haven't taught pupils, you probably don't know, but it's to do the doors first. So it tends to be D treble SM or DH treble SM. Door, handbrake, seat, steering wheel, seat belt, mirrors, or door, steering wheel. No, try again. Door, seat, steering wheel, seat belt, mirrors, D treble SM. And there you go. So doors, D, H, handbrake, seat, which includes the head restraint, seat belt, and then mirrors. And then just make sure you're in neutral before you start the car. You're about to reverse into a side road. What should you do if you see a pedestrian who wants to cross behind your car? Simply give way to them. Don't wave them across, because you don't know who's coming and how fast. Let them decide. What's the minimum depth of tread on the tyres of a trailer? Now on a car it's 1.6 millimeters. What is it on a trailer? It's actually the same. You're about to start a journey towing a trailer. What should you do if you notice that a light on your trailer is not working? You need to get that fixed before continuing with your journey. What does it mean if your trailer has a maximum authorized mass of 3,500 kilograms? Now, if you don't tow trailers, you probably wouldn't know this, but the answer is actually your trailer and load combined cannot weigh more than 3,500 kilograms. So going back to the question, your maximum mass, your maximum weight is 3,500. So that's you, the trailer, and the load as well. What should you do if your trailer starts to swerve or snake? Well, it's reduce speed gently, because if your trailer is what they call snaking, going from side to side, oh, just hit the microphone. If your trailer is going from side to side, then if you brake, that can actually make it worse. So just come off the gas, just let it slow down naturally, and it should then sort itself out.